Holding steady at number 17.
Saddest words in the top 40 countdown when you heard holding steady. Your rise was done.
You peaked.
Peaked out.
You peaked in high school.
All downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
Destined to go in the dustbin of forgotten songs. So it goes. And here comes 2.
It is Orange and Blue today. We are presented by Champ Honda. It's Cecil Lammey. It's Andrew Mason. And it's some gremlins on a Monday. A little technical difficulty. So sorry for the delay, everyone. But we are here for you now. Mace, we made it. I hope.
I think we made it.
I think we did.
I think we made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You made it back from Arizona. How was your trip?
It was a great trip. It's been a heck of a few days. There's some, stuff in life going on, but I had a good time down there.
What a long, strange trip it's been. And now you're back.
I told a friend this morning, I feel like, there's sometimes in life, you just got a lot of events that come together and all that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've lived 5 years in the last 5 days.
Wow.
As in, climbing the Everest of happiness and then back down to the valley and then back up again.
Back up and all over.
But that's life, right? I mean, that's what happens, So I'm good. I'm here. We're talking Broncos.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the point here. We're going to talk about Russell Wilson because I would argue that despite some out there in the social media sphere and what they assert, that Russ kind of climbed the mountain a little bit.
He did.
In a good way on Friday
and
night.
Sean Payton kind of made him climb it. There was a little punishment drive there at the end before they scored. And that's where this was just like camp. I wrote about it in Mile High Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It started rough. It got better and it finished strong. I don't know why people are taking issue with the Russ performance because it wasn't going to be perfect right off the jump. And it wasn't, but you did see improvement.
Yes. And saw improvement despite pressure. Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Stats had a heck of a stat put out over the weekend that of all the quarterbacks league-wide, Russell Wilson faced the highest percentage of snaps dealing with pressure, 64%. And
that's insane.
Third highest percentage of the league was Jarrett Stidham, who came in right after Russell Wilson, which then led to Sean Payton saying very clearly, we've got to protect better today. Mm-hmm. And so basically it was obvious if you were watching the game, you can kind of take heart that Sean Payton saw the same stuff from the film as you probably saw in real time watching that game, that there were way too many protection breakdowns. And if that's what it's going to look like, and the Cardinals, there was a brief cameo from some starters, but it was not there. It was not a lot of their key players on defense.
Yes.
If that's what it looks like against that, I mean, that's where you start getting nervous if they can't fix the protection issues, because you're going to see more and better pass rushers right out of the blocks. You're going to see Max Crosby in week 1. You're going to see Chase Young, who I know has had his ups and downs, but still has plenty of talent. And Washington's got a very nice front 7 in week 2. And then you're going to see your old friend Bradley Chubb down in Miami in week 3. So you're going to face some challenges right away, and you got to fix things on the edge. We won't see Mike McGlinchey for a few weeks here, although he was on the side field doing his rehab work. And Garrett Bowles right now looks to be in a spot of bother.
Yeah, and we're wondering if it's just recovery from the surgery or if this is just who he is. What's frustrating to me, Mace, is that when you watch this offense, which we all know the sale concepts, we're not giving anything away, it works. You see guys open. You see the chance for this team to move the ball and for them to get in the end zone and score some damn points. But that doesn't work if there's pressure all over the place for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, the pressure getting there quickly and disrupting the timing immediately. Now, that being said, I mean, there are sometimes you'll say, okay, you do want him to get the ball out faster, but I thought Russ's decision-making was pretty strong. However, I think you should talk about something you saw that, even though on balance it was a good game for Russell Wilson, is your concern.
Yes, my concern with Russell Wilson is he's got to trust it a little bit more. He's seen some ghosts out there that's causing him to respond to pressure in ways that he doesn't need to respond to pressure. So what do we mean by seeing ghosts, Mace? Usually this is what we talk about when we talk about college prospects. a guy that feels pressure when it's not there or not there yet. So like Russ doesn't want to get hit anymore. And it's obvious. The Jerry Jeudy touchdown, he like throws and like kind of jumps to the side, which is fine. He needs to protect himself, but not at the stake of losing the play, the development of the play.
And this happens to quarterbacks who take too many hits.
Yes.
I mean, I think
it's natural.
The best example of a quarterback who saw ghosts and could never get it back was David Carr back in the 2000s.
Unfortunately, David Carr was a good quarterback,
but he didn't have a good offensive line in front of him.
Yeah.
It went askew right away for him because when the Houston Texans began their history in 2002 and they drafted Carr #1 overall, their intent was their top expansion draft pick, Tony Baselli, was going to line up at tackle, Baselli being a Hall of Famer. But Baselli had injury concerns, and the Jags had concerns about his health. And of course, they had major cap issues, which is why they exposed him in that expansion draft. Tony Baselli never played a down for Houston. So they had this plan of, okay, let's build a line around a guy who's an all-timer. It didn't work out. They, the following year, they took a wide receiver in the first round. Andre Johnson proved to be great, but they didn't do the things necessary to protect Carr. And by the time years passed, he took so many sacks, he saw ghosts. He went to Carolina. They tried to fix him, but his clock was permanently malfunctioning in terms of clock for feeling the pass rush, and basically played out his career as a backup. I'm not saying that's Russell Wilson's destination here, but I am saying this is what happens if you can't get out of this pattern.
Right. And he would need the Mickey Mouse gloves like David Carr had in Carolina. But here's the problem. This wasn't Russ in Seattle. Russ in Seattle controlled the chaos, right? He didn't have an offensive line. They were taking basketball players and making them left tackles in Seattle. His offensive line has never been good. Russ now is letting the chaos affect him. Whereas when he was younger, Mace, I felt he controlled it more because he could run and he could get out of the way. He can still do that, kind of. He needs to do it less. He was working in the middle of the field. Like, there's so much good, but if that offensive line is not good, you can't have Russ seeing ghosts, man.
Well,
it won't work.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you that this morning when I saw you. Like, this isn't going to work if that keeps up.
You may not want to be afraid of no ghosts, as was said 39 years ago. But if you are seeing ghosts and you're reacting to them, then it's going to disrupt the timing of the entire enterprise. And I think you can point to at least one play on Friday night where that was the case pretty clearly, I thought.
The Cortland slip?
Yeah.
Okay. The Cortland slip, which was a good play, and Cortland slip, got back up. We're all like excited. If Russ was on time, and we're talking half a beat in the rhythm, if he was on time and set his feet properly for that throw, that's a touchdown. Look at the coverage. Court was wide open if he had gotten the ball a little bit sooner, and it was there. Like, Russ just needs to trust the system because he clearly doesn't trust the offensive line.
He's got to let go. Now, getting the running game going is going to help this too.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to make that clear. And this is where I do expect the Broncos to be among the league leaders, if not the league leader, in terms of run percentage. It's going to be the way to get things settled. And frankly, if you can't get the pass protection up to speed, and we know Mike McGlinchey is not a great pass blocker when he comes back.
Right.
And we know Garrett Bowles is having his troubles, particularly. He is getting whipped around the outside shoulder a lot. That was the thing. The sack that Garrett Bowles gave up, what made me most concerned was how many times we have seen that in practice the last 2.5 weeks.
Yep.
It's happened often. Usually with Nick Bonito whipping around that outside shoulder. And when you see it over and over again, the cliche, 1's an accident, 2's a trend, 3's a problem. What if we're talking about several? That's cause for alarm.
And this is not hyperbole or sky is falling. I was on Stokely and Zach today. They're like, how much of a problem? I said, it's a major problem.
Yeah.
This is a major problem. You spent the money, you got the guys, and hopefully Bowles, whatever. But this is a major problem if you don't fix it, because then you can't get the best out of Russ.
Yeah. And you're just hoping to get what you can out of Russ at that point, because you're hoping you can just keep him upright. He's a quarterback who's going to be 35 years old this year, and he's missed time each of the last 2 seasons to injuries. And he has a history of taking a lot of hits, which means there's a lot of accumulated wear and tear on Russell Wilson. And so all these things are in play. You've got to protect him. That's where this thing starts. And it starts up front. It also starts with getting balance on the offense, because if you can do that, get the play action game going, then you can take those shots without him having to be under duress. But the interesting thing is sometimes we've seen it might be play action and it's not holding anybody up. The defense is still charging in and potentially hitting Russell Wilson. So
the book is out on Russell Wilson, and it's blitz the hell out of him. And that's dangerous for that quarterback.
Now, when you can make plays and read it correctly, look, there are some quarterbacks you blitz and you're dead. Like, you don't blitz Patrick Mahomes.
Not at all.
Unless you want to pay dearly for it. You don't blitz Joe Burrow unless you want to find yourself looking up at 7 more points on the scoreboard against you. You don't do that. Can Russell Wilson get to that point where he makes an opponent pay for a blitz?
I think the answer is yes, if he trusts the system. And we're still on a few throws seeing him be a half a beat late. And in the NFL, that's all it takes. So I believe, to answer your question, like, Sean Payton will set it up so he can beat the blitz.
Yeah.
You got to believe it, Russ. And there are certain plays where you got to throw it before that guy makes the break. Russ has turned into a see it, throw it guy. You got to throw with anticipation in this league. And we didn't see that on Friday night.
Yeah. I believe he can figure it out. But the question is, how long is he going to take to figure it out?
Yeah. Well, Sean Payton expressed confidence today, very briefly in his press conference, Mace. Were you surprised that he's like, yeah, it was, our timing was fine. I can get the direct quote, but he's like, the timing is fine.
We got to protect better.
Fix. Yeah. He said the assignments were fine. We just got leveraged on a few plays and got hurried a few too many times. We will be able to clean that up. Close quote. That's from Sean Payton. I was a little surprised that was his answer.
Well, I salute the optimism. And look, you've got time here, right? You have 2 more preseason games. And then after those preseason games, another couple of days and then a full week of practice until the Raiders come in here. I mean, the clock is ticking, but by my calculation, the Broncos have probably 16 or 17 more practices until they have to play. So they got some time. Now, what's going to happen when training camp ends is then you're going to be limited on full pad practices, because once training camp and the preseason is done, then you're on the 1 full pad practice a week protocol as you get into game prep.
Yes.
In September.
Yep.
So
Nate talks about his batted passes. Yeah, we saw another one of those.
Yeah.
That's more concerning to me than the sacks, although those will pile up, or the interceptions. I did like seeing Russ work the middle of the field. I did like seeing Russ distribute it to many different targets. I did like seeing Russ go back to Jerry Jeudy after the drop. Listen, talking about Jerry Judy's drop, this is where I may have made Dan Jacobs mad. I apologize if I did, Dan. But I said that's surface level stuff. Like, we don't do that on this show. We're going to talk about drop rate. We're not going to be like, why did Jerry Jeudy drops? Like, shake your fist. Like, okay. He went right back to him and he made a play. And it was for a score. And that route was disgusting. That was a filthy move. Jerry Jeudy should almost be brought up on charges what he did to that player. But, like, that was good. It's good confidence. Good for us to go, like, let's do it again. And let's do it with the, all the chips in the table. Let's go. 4th down. Let's move this ball. Let's score a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. And I always like it when a player that has the skills drops a pass and then you go right back to him the next play. Yeah, okay, let's build. If there's a loss of confidence, let's build that back up. And it was a nice play by Russ under duress as well. And then Jeudy was wide open, made the catch. I mean, you do run the risk if he drops it of sending him into a pretty bad headspace from a football perspective if he has back-to-back drops. But, sometimes the best thing is to get back on the horse, trust the muscle memory, trust what you know how to do, and just do it, right? And, we could all use that sometimes. Sometimes you just got to get yourself back on the horse, right? As soon as possible.
Yes.
Was it in Top Gun? Viper's like, keep sending him up, right? Even though it was rough. Just keep sending him up.
Keep sending him up.
And eventually, gets it right, gets in the right headspace, shoots down the MiG, saves the day. Yay, all that. Hooray, America. Hooray, America. Hooray, Miramar. Hooray, all that,
There you go. I was thinking of the first time I got bucked off a horse. I was training my first horse, Tonto. I was 11 years old.
See, you've actually got practical stories on this because you're
he slid on concrete.
You're an authentic Wyomingite.
And he slipped and he fell down on his side and it trapped my leg.
Oh, man.
And I remember the dust up. I remember my dad's big old hairy arms picking me up. And he dusted me off. I was crying. And he goes, get back on. And for the love of God, the last thing I wanted to do was get back on that horse. And my leg was it wasn't broken, but it hurt. And I got back on that horse. I mean, that's just what you do. So Russ, and that's the beauty of this, Mace.
Yes.
And I know you saw it. And I wish I could have watched the game with you because that's always fun watching football with you. But it works, man.
Mm-hmm.
This can work. But I think Chris Manhertz is going to have to block on every play. I think 2 tight ends set a fullback. You have to scheme around this tackle situation.
And remember, Manhertz wasn't out there Friday.
Yes.
He's injured.
He's an extra tackle, basically.
Yeah, he's on the rehab field right now. I would love to see Manhertz making the 49ers on Saturday saying, man, that hurts. Oh, my God. Make it stop. Anyhow, yeah, I'd like to see him back on the field Saturday, and I want to see how the protection looks with him and Troutman. I think we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end packages, and I think we're going to see an awful lot of Chris Manhertz and Adam Troutman because those are superior blockers to the others in the room. Although I'll tell you, keep your eye on Nate Atkins getting some playing time too. He might make this team. He listed at number 4, have Albert Okwuegbunam, and yeah, he's getting some run. Is the kid out of South Carolina?
Yeah, you like that. You like to see it. And for all the Greg Dulcich fans, which you should be, everyone should love what Greg Dulcich can do. I was talking to friends in the know, and they're like, "Why isn't he just a slot? Just to make him a big slot?"
I think that's where things may be
trending. Like the Bills are going to do with Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah, I think they're going to play to his strengths,
which is fine.
It's what people wanted with Albert O, I think, but
right. And I think the confidence there with Alberto, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for him. Kid's incredibly talented physically.
Here's the question. If you cut Albert O, if he's not on the 53, do you try to bring him back on the practice squad? Say, okay, let's take some time on the practice field and try and rebuild this?
Would he want to? Or would he want a fresh
start? He may want
to
go
to Seattle, go up there with Drew.
Oh, yeah, go back with this guy, Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it would be up to him, but I personally would not give up on Alberto. I put him on the practice squad. He's not making the active roster.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't give up on him yet.
I don't want to give up on him, but you can turn down the practice squad to go to another practice squad. It's the player's prerogative.
Yes.
And I couldn't blame him if he did. I feel bad because, clearly, I think there's a headspace thing,
Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. And you could see late last year when he got some confidence, when Jerry Rosberg gave him that confidence, you could kind of see the sparkle kind of come back in his eyes and the way he played, and feel like he's back down again. It's tough
missing
to
that
see.
spark.
Yeah. That's what I talked about with Nathaniel Hackett, watching him working with the Jets. He had the sparkle back. By the way, speaking of the Jets, did you see the Troll job?
Garrett Wilson
interview? Garrett
Yes.
Wilson.
Well, so I have to ask you then, my friend, because I didn't take a picture of you, but you and I think Nick Kosmider from The Athletic, who we love, good shoe game. Even though it's not all Jordans from Nick Kosmider, he has great shoes. I think you two wore bucket hats today.
Well, I wear bucket hats all the time for practice because I'm trying
That's
to.
That's just Mace fit, but
yeah.
Did Nick wear it as a message?
Maybe
Garrett Wilson did. Garrett
Wilson
he went sunglasses.
Okay, he went sunglasses, bucket hat.
It was
pads and uniform were off, and he was doing an interview.
Yes,
Garrett
for the 5 sins for Sean Payton.
What was the 5th one?
Eating.
Oh, okay. How do we know he wasn't eating before the interview? That would have been great. If he had been there, and he's doing the interview, and he's just throwing out
something
hot
messy,
dog.
Right?
It's just simple.
Hot dog's too simple.
It's simple.
Hot wings.
Yeah, but the thing is, what are you having at a game, right? All the stories about athletes, if they're on the bench eating, It's Terrell Davis eating a hot dog in Tokyo. I wonder what that tasted like. before
Lips,
he went-
ears, and aloha.
Yeah. It's wasn't that in The Great Outdoors? I think.
I
You know,
believe
hey,
so.
you know what hot dogs are made out of? Lips and bleep. You know.
And bleep.
Anyhow, yeah. You wonder. Yeah, Quentin Daly back in the day in the NBA would literally be eating hot dogs on the bench. You know.
Okay.
I'm just that's the thing. If I think of a player eating during a game on the bench or sideline, I'm thinking of a hot dog. I'm not thinking of wings. They're not ordering wings. It's too messy.
Joshua McCool says he was also liking tweets about getting to wear bucket hats.
Yeah, he was sticking up for his coach there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jets Broncos week 5.
Hey, week 5, just beat that ass.
It's gonna be fun.
Okay, just go out there and win. And,
Well, that's what they're saying in New York too.
Yeah, that's what they're saying because they'd love it. They'd love it. Hey,
I wonder if that's going to be the first national number 1 crew broadcast of the Broncos season.
Tony Romo on the call.
Yeah,
actually, wouldn't it be? It wouldn't be Romo, right?
it'd be
Not
Nance.
NFC.
It'd be Jim Nance and Tony
Jim
Romo.
Nance, Tony Romo. Okay.
Yeah, Nance is still doing football. He's not doing March Madness anymore.
Hello, friends.
Yeah.
Love Jim. Anyway, injuries are mounting for this team.
Yes.
We can't say anything of what we saw today or what we didn't see today, but I guess
We can say who wasn't practicing.
Justin Simmons was in a t-shirt. Cortland Sutton was in a t-shirt. Pat Surtain was in a t-shirt.
Chris Manhurst and a lot of these guys were on the side field.
Nick Benito.
Mike McGlinchey side field. You knew that. The ones that are notable in terms of being added to the injury report coming out of Friday. Pat Surtain warmed up and then didn't play. And then he wasn't out there today.
Mm-hmm.
Cortland Sutton played, got injured. Nick Benito played, injured, not out there today. Kendall Hinton played, not out there today. So that's the changes. A lot of these injuries already happened. There's a little thing on our Denver Sports text chat and saying, "Oh, was it the field in Arizona?" No, not really, because most of those injuries happen on the field in Denver at Sanctuary Health Training
Well,
Center.
there was another slip today.
Yeah,
like every day. It was a different spot, but it was Judy that slipped. And I
Was it
like,
outside?
"Please."
I had to step away for a
It
few
was
minutes.
by the end zone, by the side closest to where we
Outside the
stand.
numbers.
Yes.
A lot of this, almost all the slips have been outside the numbers.
And I'm like, come on. We all love everybody that works at CHTC. Although Centura's changing their name.
To what?
I don't know. We're running commercials about it. So as I'm driving over here to the studio, they're like, Centura Health is now going to be called whatever. And I was like, well, wait a second. They just got a bunch of Centura branding on the building. So I almost texted Patrick, although Patrick is a very busy man. I almost wanted to call him or text him and be like, hey, are they going to?
All right, I'm reading this
Is it
off.
not going to be CHTC now? Is it going to be something else?
It's according to the Sanctura website.
Okay.
It's becoming Common Spirit Health in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah.
Common Spirit Health
So wait a
Center,
second.
CH.
All that signage, that new signage that is
Centura
over
everywhere.
It's all over the place. They even repainted the roof on the field house so you can see it from the air. They're going to have to change that again.
Oh, where's the Sport Authority sign?
Just imagine if the Broncos change their logo, how much they're going to have to change over there. Which could happen.
And with that,
in the next couple of years,
we will talk about
uniform logos.
Uniforms, fine.
We're fixing. Hey, we're fixing to find out, but
It's a whole new era.
It's a new era, so we'll
Get
see.
ready, baby. And Sean Payton will be here. I don't know if Russell Wilson will be. More on that later. You said as we're watching practice today, the week 1 kicker is not on the roster.
Potentially, that's right, because the competition's around the league, and look, there were jitters at the start for Brett Maher and Elliott
What did their
Fry.
warm-ups look like? I know you were watching warm-ups.
They looked fine.
They were fine warm-ups.
They looked
Field was
fine.
fine. Then, no divots or whatever.
No, the divots were mainly outside the numbers.
Okay.
Like there were a bunch of Cardinals players that were fielding kickoffs warm-ups, and they really tore up an area of the grass down there toward, I think it would have been the like the northwest corner of the field for those who are familiar with that stadium. So,
Okay.
So
you and I disagree on who they could add, though, because I'm still a Mason Crosby fan.
Everyone
I know
around
it's a
here,
CU thing.
Everyone around here is a Mason Crosby guy because he played for Colorado.
And he kicks out of a boat.
Yeah.
Go look it up on Instagram.
Robbie Gould over the years has been consistently better, and he's still out there. So
what's the delay?
I think the delay is that either of them would be a more expensive option than the ones they have. and you want to see it out. And Brett Maher kicked very well for Sean Payton in New Orleans. So I think there is that institutional knowledge from the coaching staff in Brett Maher's favor, because they saw how in 2021, when Will Lutz missed the entire season and they cycled through a bunch of kickers the first half of the year, and Brett Maher stabilized it in the second half of the season. So I think there is a belief in Brett Maher, but missing that first kick didn't do him any favors. The block field goal, that's not on him. That was a protection bust on the left side.
Right.
Cardinals going right at Luke Wattenberg. That's where the dam burst. That's not on Maher. That I went back, I watched that kick a bunch of times. The trajectory right off his foot, it's fine. I think there's a very good chance he hits that if that gets past the block, the rushers pouring through. So I'm not concerned about that for Maher, but you're concerned about the missed kicks. Elliott Fry had a nice bounce back, hitting a 55-yarder right before halftime. But and I couldn't see it. I believe one of the kickers did hit the upright today, but I'm not sure who. So we didn't have a good angle.
Yeah, we didn't.
So
either way, anything else to wrap up today's show? We've had a day with our behind the scenes.
It took a long time for us to get here.
Yes, longer to fix the issues than the actual length of the show today. But we got some great people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Shout out Sean.
It happens.
Shout out Matthew.
Hey, you think either of us chuckleheads could have fixed this and gotten on air? Come on.
No, I just start calling people.
No. Life is good.
Okay. We're getting a lot of love from you guys. We appreciate that. Hell, we need it, because there's times when you don't get that in this industry, which is fine. Yeah. We've got broad shoulders, but we just appreciate you guys for helping us grow the YouTube channel.
So we're like Chicago, where Chicago's the city of broad shoulders,
Okay.
Yeah, it's also the windy city.
We also have green water on St. Patty's Day.
Nice little reference to The Fugitive there.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, like that.
Are you ready to see Chicago?
We'll see Chicago in week 4.
There you go.
Yeah.
Justin Fields,
by the way,
perfect passer rating.
I said it on Twitter X this weekend. I'll say it here. The Bears are going to be that sneaky fun team to watch. Like, if the Broncos are playing late and you want to catch somebody early, I think Chicago has a bunch of early games. That might be the team to keep an eye on. Mm-hmm. They're going to be incredibly dynamic offensively. Their defense is still not up to snuff. They're going to struggle to stop people.
Right.
But they're going to play some wild fun games this year. And they've got some weapons, man. Like,
DJ Moore's legit.
And I'll say this, the thing that Justin Fields is doing is he's just getting the ball to the playmakers and letting them do their thing. There was something about, he had like 6 air yards or something like that. Who cares? He is QB as point guard. In that offense, he's either taking it to the hole if it's there, or he's distributing quickly, letting others shine. I think Chicago is going to be a very fun team to watch. And when you look at games on the Broncos schedule, if Russell Wilson is still struggling to put this thing together, that Justin Fields Chicago game in week 4 is going to be one that I think maybe hits a lot of people in the feels.
And our what if on Justin Fields, you should go back and watch that on our YouTube channel.
We may have to rerun that week.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. He's more dangerous than Vic as a runner. He's the #1 fantasy quarterback this year. There's your fantasy tip. Go get Justin Fields.
Because of how rushing yards and how rushing touchdowns
and
count.
How their defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Adrian says Stidham stinks. Well, here's the thing. Sam Howell didn't. So there's some things we're watching.
You could have had Sam Howell in round 4 last year. Let's face it.
You should have had Sam Howell last year.
Once he dropped there, should have picked him. With all respect to any Wazirike, for what you'd have a player on the roster right now. Okay, I said it. Couldn't help myself. But I really wanted this team to take Sam Howell. When he dropped, I'm like, you have to do it.
That's the type of talent you take a chance on.
And there's another thing about Sam Howell. Stylistically, ideal backup for Russell Wilson.
Perfect backup for Russell
they
Wilson.
Are their skills are and strengths and even their weaknesses are very similar to each other. Mm-hmm. Like Sam Howell coming in means you don't change a thing in terms of your scheme. You're not adjusting for who the quarterback is. You're just going out there and playing.
Jarrett Stidham coming in You're gonna make some changes. You're gonna lose games.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see a little more Ben and Nuke. That's me.
Okay.
The Nooch. I'm becoming a fan of the Nooch.
Nooch. What was the Domino's guy? Noid. The Nooch.
Man.
Right, the Nooch.
The Noid.
Wait, no, it was Snoochie Boochies. I was gonna say
Snoochie Boochies was, you know, the
Sooners. Bob. Yeah.
Snoochie
Boochies.
They first said that in Clerks, right?
I believe so, yeah.
That definitely not Clerks. They said it in Mallrats. I don't think they said it in Clerks.
Don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I know they said Berserker.
I can't quote anything from that scene.
He just making blank.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, off no face. Girl, nice. Nice.
Girl, nice. Oh, what's the name of this one? I don't know. Like a Yankee Blue Jeans or something.
That doesn't sound metal.
Oh, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah. We save it for the end of the show.
Oh, God, now the audio's buzzing now. Okay.
All right.
That's our cue.
Bye.
See ya. Stay frosty, everybody.